more on this. Human Rights Watch Communications Director for the Middle East and North Africa, Ahmed Benchemsi, joins me live from Paris. Ahmed, great to see you. So certainly this is a damning report. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, the general finding is that an Israeli airstrike on a six-story apartment building sheltering hundreds of people in central Gaza on October 31st was apparently a war crime. Why? Because it failed to distinguish between combatants and civilian targets. And actually, we didn't find any sign, any indication of any military activity within or in the near vicinity of the building. This was a building that was extremely crammed. Normally it hosts about 200 persons, but this was 2 weeks into the conflict, so there were at least 150 more refugees taking shelter in the building, especially in the gym situated on the ground floor. So you have to picture the scene. It's brimming with people, all civilians, lots of children playing football right outside the building, and then adults gathered on the ground floor to recharge their phones, because this building was one of the very few buildings that still had electricity amidst a general electricity shortage, because there were solar panels on the roof. So adults, civilians crammed on the ground floor, children playing football, normal life going on, 350 people, all civilians in a very densely packed building. And then in time span of 10 seconds, 4 munitions landing on the roof, everything collapses. We counted more than 100 deaths, most of them children.
It's truly tragic. Now, Ahmed, let me ask you, is this the first time the Human Rights Watch has labeled Israeli attacks as war crimes?
I'm afraid not. No, it's not the first time. We documented previous attacks like this and previous conflicts with Gaza. So it's not even the first time this time. I mean, it happened in previous conflict. Now, we should also remind that the conduct of war as a whole has been a war crime, because cutting electricity and food and water and life-saving supplies, blocking life-saving humanitarian aid from entering the territory, and basically collectively punishing 2 million Gazans for the crimes committed by a small minority of combatants, war crimes as well, because Hamas did commit war crimes. But it's not a reason to punish 2 million people in retaliation. That is called collective punishment. And all of this is a war crime of enormous proportions.
So what I'm alluding to here, so the Human Rights Watch and many other independent organizations have labeled what Israel is doing in Gaza as a war crime. But the fact of the matter is, all of this has not stopped Israel from attacking Gaza. In fact, just today there was an attack on a building in Rafah which killed many civilians, including children, according to local sources. So why do you think that is the case? Does it perhaps indicate Israel does not care about what your organization thinks or says?
It mostly indicates that the way the international system is set up is allowing Israel to get away with murder, basically. The International Court of Justice ordered Israel to take provisional measures to stop the commission of potentially genocidal acts. And that included immediately allowing aid to reach the civilians who need it within Gaza. What did Israel do with those orders that are binding under international law? Just ignore them. Why? Because it can. Because there are no enforcement mechanisms. I mean, there are enforcement mechanisms. They should go through the Security Council, but the United States consistently opposed its veto to such measures. Now, recently, they have abstained from voting in a resolution that called for ceasefire and ordered for reach of humanitarian aid, but then they said it's not binding. So, yeah, okay. Israel gets away with this
Ahmed,
stuff.
You mentioned the United States there. Let me ask you, how would you want, as the Human Rights Watch, for the United States to react to this report?
Oh, they should absolutely take it into consideration and add it to the already big pile of evidence that Israel has been violating the laws of war consistently, including with the use of US-provided weapons, by the way. So they should absolutely stop selling weapons to Israel as long as they haven't provided credible evidence that they stopped committing these crimes. I mean, Israel submitted a memo to the United States, specifically to the State Department and the Ministry of Defense, guaranteeing that they have been using U.S. weapons lawfully, in a lawful manner that is consistent with international law. This is not credible. We said that clearly, and we're saying it again. Israel is committing grave violations of the laws of war, including using US weapons, and the United States should be aware of that and should stop selling them weapons or risk being complicit in the commission of those war crimes with American weapons.
Ahmed Benchemsi, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World.